Let's get started. How many of you guys are done with your XAT exam? Put it up on the chat comments whether you guys are done with the XAT exam. How was the paper overall for all of you? All right, great, great, great. I can see Varun, Vaibhav. Yes, all of you guys are done with your XAT exam. Brilliant. So what we are going to do is, let's have a quick look through the understanding and analysis. We had a little audio issues in the previous live. So let's get started from the XAT analysis right from the starting. Overall, I think the paper was very similar to what it has been always, XAT paper. It was not very surprising or something out of the box. Like usually, if you see this year, a lot of exams had a lot of surprises to come in place. So this was more or less on the predicted side. People who had solved XAT 2021 would have found it कि एकदम same वैसा ही paper वापस से आया है. And overall, I can say moderate level. बहुत difficult नहीं था. जितना XAT tough लगता है and everybody says it's very difficult, उतना difficult नहीं था. It was doable, but let's see in-depth analysis of each and every section for all of us to have a better understanding of the paper. XAT में verbal section, you had 26 questions. This was the toughest question. This was the toughest section. In fact, people on the chat who have given the exam, would you guys agree that verbal was the toughest of all of the sections with very close answer options and lengthy passages? Yes, that's correct. So that was the toughest of all the papers, all the sections. Decision making was easy to moderate. देखो जिसने प्रैक्टिस किया होगा 4 से 5 मॉक्स दिए होंगे अगर फॉर XAT डिसीजन मेकिंग एंड यू वुड हैव सॉल्व्ड लास्ट 5 years का एक्चुअल डीएम क्वेश्चंस, this would have been on the easier side for you because it was all very similar, not very complex or difficult. जैसे डिसीजन मेकिंग सालों से आते आ रहा है वैसे ही टाइप के क्वेश्चंस थे. क्वांट्स एंड डीआई सेक्शन का जो 28 क्वेश्चंस था, I would say this is easy to moderate. Now, why I'm saying easy to moderate? Because quants of XAT is always tough and lengthy. So we knew that it is going to be a tough section. So if your concepts were clear, you were able to solve 10 to 12 questions. If your concepts were clear, agar tumne time management अच्छे से किया, you were able to solve a little more questions also. Right? So total 75 questions में से 50 to 55 attempts I think was manageable by most of the students. Drop in the comment section, guys, how much you have attempted overall and what would be in the each section also if you remember. नहीं तो overall how many attempts? The other two sections, that is your part B. After your 165 minutes was up, we had the part B where we had GK 25 questions. This was moderate. Moderate, I would say, people who are well read, you know, who have been reading the newspaper for the past 5-6 months, या तुम्हारे GK zone की GK booklets भी read कर रही होंगे and you are well read, no, you were able to solve 10 to 12 questions. 5-6 तो super easy questions थे GK में, 10 से 12 attempt कर सकते हो, which is more than enough. इससे ज़्यादा GK में attempts चाहिए भी नहीं. Next was the essay section. Now this was new this year because it came after a break of 3 years. But very interesting essays, I must say. The students were given an option, like 2 options दिए थे, तुम्हें 2 topics दिए हैं, अपनी मर्जी से choose करके लिखो कौन सा essay लिखना है. Very interesting, right? First topic was capitalism and democracy do not coexist. Most of the students I heard have taken up this because this is a very easy, not tricky kind of a question. Like, you know, बहुत ज़्यादा complex नहीं है क्योंकि जो दूसरा question था can become a double-edged sword based on what you write in the content, right? Second wala ka exact topic, this may not be the exact topic. The statement was given something which implied, the statement implied that management institutes focus on, you know, non-risk takers getting onboarded into the college in their selection, which leads to average managers. So this was the topic. काफी tricky hai because what you're saying in the shortlisting process and, you know, it could be taken up on both the sides. But a smart student would have taken this up and given both pros and cons of the current process, why it is good to have risk-averse people and why it is not good to have risk-averse people as well also. So I would say essay was on the lines of what it has been coming. If you remember, we did a video on the past topic analysis. They always had, like, whether it was globalization, jingoism, and all of this, do 2 sides of it coexist or not, right? So which is like you agree, you given ideas of both of them, you agree or disagree, and that perspective. So a very predicted paper, which XAT has always been. It does not give you a lot of surprises in the paper, which is that. If I look at now each section, right? Do you guys agree, people who are with me, who dekhe aaye ho, ki predicted side pe hi tha paper, right? Now, let's look at verbal section. कैसा था पेपर, कितने अटेम्प्ट्स आप करके आए हो, जिसने सब एवरीबॉडी अग्रीड किया वर्बल वाज द टफेस्ट, बट पूरे टफ सेक्शन डिफिकल्ट था, अग्रीड, बिकॉज द आरसी पैसेजेस, though the passages were short, they were very dense. It took time to read, understand. Inference based questions the, and they were very close options. Like you were able to narrow down to 2 answer options, and उसमें जाके फिर अटक जाते थे. Most of you guys would agree, right? That was the situation. But overall, still out of all the passages, there was one passage talking about lies and, बेवकूफ बनाना लोगों को और झूठ बोलना में फर्क, that passage, वो फिर भी easy था, उसमें ज्यादा tough questions नहीं थे, right? Poem based RCs 2 थे. First poem based RC में एक ही question था, second में 2 questions थे. But overall, if you would see, जो हमारे verbal ability के questions थे, we had 2 para jumbles, 1 to 3 fill in the blanks questions, 2 to 3 grammar questions. These all were definitely easy questions. आप verbal ability को attempt करके you can maximize your scores and then do जितना time है उसके हिसाब से we can focus on the RC passages. Poem based RCs, I hope all of you all had done, because if you remember the rules Rahul sir had made you all do, कर सकते थे attempt, इतने complex poems नहीं थी, ठीक है? Then talking about our decision making section, if you had not practiced, then you would find decision making tough. But if you had practiced mock tests, like I told before also, actual mock tests and actual papers of XAT, decision making was on the easier side. It was 7 sets, 3 questions each, very similar to 2021. Most of them were ethical dilemma based questions. एक professor वाला passage था, वो भी काफी easy था. Overall, if you see, छोटे छोटे passages थे and questions based on that, not very lengthy passages. जैसे RC में बहुत lengthy passages थे, यहाँ पे वैसा situation नहीं था. Overall, we were able to attempt 18 to 20 questions if you were a well-practiced, seasoned professional when it comes to decision making. अगर life में कभी decision making नहीं करा था, पहली बार देख रहे थे, तो थोड़ी दिक्कत आई होगी and number of attempts थोड़े कम हो गए होंगे in that case. ठीक है? Last section जो हमारा था quants and DI का section. Here there were 2 DI sets, 3 questions each. First, which was there, was एक वो कैंसल्ड ऑर्डर स्टेटस ऑफ स्टॉक का सेट था, ये इजी था, इसमें परसेंटेज कैलकुलेशन था, वेरी इजी टू डू क्वेश्चंस. सेकंड सेट जो था उसमें 5 कंपनीज का ट्रैजेक्टरीज वाज गिविंग. दिस वाज अ केस बेस्ड, मतलब बहुत सारे केसेस बन रहे थे, तो लेंदी था. आई वुड हैव लेफ्ट दिस इन ऑप्शन. आई एम अज्यूमिंग मोस्ट ऑफ यू गाइज, इवन इफ यू हैड स्टार्टेड, थोड़ा अटक के शायद छोड़ दिया होगा तो अच्छी बात है, यू वुड हैव सेव्ड टाइम. This was meant to be left kind of a DI set. Quants में when we had there, we had different questions which is there. और भी DI के sets थे. There was one with respect to 5 different people and different people coming on board and उनके different cases, answers tick mark करे हैं, कितने answers. वो वाला set भी medium to difficult था. Some were able to solve, some were not able to solve. Talking about our quants section, we had geometry 2 to 3 questions, arithmetic somewhere around 6 to 8 questions, PNC and probability 2 to 3 questions, algebra 4 to 5 questions. So this was time consuming and easy to understand if you knew your concepts. So conceptual clarity was required. 4 to 15 questions was doable. Overall, if you see the paper, summary of it is कि verbal was difficult because RCs were a little complex. Your DI sets were a little weird. Some of them were case-based. You had to have a good, calm mind to actually understand that. So now some people would have found that 5 companies trajectory DI set easy. Some would have found it complex. It depends on the mind frame also which you were in. But overall, DI was time-consuming and a little tricky. And paper पूरा का पूरा, if you see summary, is doable, moderate difficult level, on lines of XAT 2021. So जो cutoffs है, the cutoffs I do not think will rise. Cutoffs should be almost the same as what it was last year itself. So let's stay tuned for having more details, more analysis coming in depth further ahead. Essay, which was new, was not very complex. It was again same as previous year's papers mein jo topics aa rahe the. I hope the session was helpful for all of you guys. All the very best. Stay tuned. And yes, some people are saying CAT ke results aane wale hain, aa gaye hain. We will be there with you guys once the results are out as well. Don't worry, and let's make sure we get in good scores. All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Take care.